All right, Jeff, I think we're at 8:35. What do you think? We've got a good
I'm
contingent on
ready.
here.
Yeah, I'm ready. So if AJ could move it to the next slide, that would be great. All right, well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 2021 FABOH Wellness Conference. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jeff Woods, and I'm the Executive Director of FABOH. I'd like to start off our time together today by offering thanks. First, I'd like to thank all of you on the call today for taking time out of your busy schedules to learn with us this morning. We're really glad you're here. Second, I'd like to thank our presenters for this year's conference for sharing their knowledge and experience with our group. This includes Sean and his group from humanworks, who will be presenting today, as well as Meredith Basiak from Myron Construction and Chrissy Bowl from SSM Health, who provided on-demand content that you all had access to. Last, I want to thank the FABOH Board of Directors, who you can see here. They allow us each year to hold this event to support both our membership and other attendees in their quest to improve their health and well-being of their most important asset, their employees. So thank you once again to the FABOH Board of Directors. Next slide, please. Before we get into the program for today, I wanted to share just a little bit about FABOH for those of you who aren't familiar with us. FABOH is an employer-owned healthcare purchasing coalition comprised of shareholders, members, board of directors, and staff. Our mission is to help our employer community improve the cost effectiveness and quality of the healthcare services they purchase. The way we achieve this is through sharing of ideas and information, the development of strategies, and the implementation of targeted programs. Next slide, please. The value proposition FABOH offers our membership is as follows. Through our relationship with Agnesian SSM, we're able to provide best-in-class pricing within that system, as well as competitive rates with other local providers. This lowers the cost our members have to pay when their employees get sick or injured. FABOH members also have access to the corporate care clinic. This resource, staffed by nurse practitioners, provides a lower cost option for members to access for their primary care needs. Thinking more proactively, FABOH also provides its members with comprehensive wellness and well-being services that they can use to keep their employees healthy and well. By doing this successfully, we help our members better manage their overall healthcare spend and create a positive workplace culture and environment. Last, FABOH provides our members with educational and networking opportunities to stay current on the latest strategies and trends. Having this knowledge helps them better manage their health plan as well as the health and well-being of their employees. If you have any questions regarding FABOH or how to become a member, please feel free to reach out to me via phone or email. Next slide, please. Now, I'd like to turn it over to our keynote presenter for today, Sean Gillius. For long-term FABOH Wellness Conference attendees, you might remember Sean from the 2017 Wellness Conference event, where he co-presented with Michelle Spear on a presentation called Rebels with a Cause, a presentation that we brought in to introduce and make the case for infusing well-being into your overall wellness strategy. As you can see, Sean has been very busy since we last saw him. He's moved on from his 25-year career with Lamaki Enterprises and is now with humanworks. In this new endeavor, Sean, along with his team, are helping organizations bring their work to life through championing people. Today, Sean will be presenting on the new rules for well-being and being human. Please welcome Sean.
Thanks, Jeff. Hello, everybody. Now, first, don't leave me out here in this Zoom world. Come on. Hello, everybody. Come on, I want to see you. If there's one time to turn on your computer pictures right now, just so I can see everybody. Come on. We got to feel like we're all in the same room. Oh, there's pictures. Okay, now I'm seeing people. Now we're feeling like a little bit like we're in the same room. All right, so let's try to keep it that way. If you know me at all, or if you've been with me at all, this is going to be as good as all of you make it with me. All right, because it's not going to be just me talking, although there will be some words coming out of my mouth, but I'm hoping to get all of you involved in what we're talking about today. And I want to thank Jeff. I want to thank everyone at the Fond du Lac Businesses on Health for inviting myself and the humanworks team to be a part of this conversation today. I do have fond memories, and I know Michelle, Hi, Michelle. I know you're on this call too, presenting at this conference. I was going to say many years ago, but I guess it was only 4 or 5 years ago. So it wasn't that long ago, really. But I don't know about all of you. That seems like a lifetime ago in my life right here today. But what I remember from that day was just the interaction, the energy, the interest in wanting to learn more, the questions, and people just really hungry to sort of make their wellness approach better across organizations. And I'm hoping, and I'm already looking forward to the next time that we can be together in person. So I don't have to really encourage everybody to show their face. I'm going to see you right there in front of me. But let's make do with what we have today. Let's do this Zoom thing together here and to start 2021. Everybody willing to make some commitments as we go along? Yep. Here we go. If AJ will go to my next slide, here's some ground rules. And if you've been on with me before, they're pretty much the same. The first one is, please, everybody, commit to this morning. Stay with me. I know looking at your screen, you may already be tired. It's Thursday. I don't know how long you've stared into your screen already this week, but I'm hoping we can mix it up over the next couple hours. First, I'm going to chat some and share some thoughts, give you the opportunity to sort of jump in there. But then it's going to become almost like a choose your own adventure in a breakout room. You'll get to pick one of the 4 breakout rooms to spend about 20 minutes on to dig in a little deeper around one of the topics. After that first breakout room, we'll come back, maybe share a highlight thought, and then we'll go into your second breakout room. You get to choose one more, spend about 20 minutes, and come back once again, share a highlight, and then Jeff will take us home and wrap it up here this morning. So just hopefully that'll give us enough energy, enough little difference to sort of keep us here. So I think it's going to be a fun morning, conversation, learning. Add in. You will notice the second point gives you permission to interrupt, gives you permission to ask a question, gives you permission to share a best practice around anything I'm talking about or what's going on. And I think that's really is the power of anything like this. So I encourage you. The word there is courage, but I would say be brave for me. Put a word in there, ask me a question, add in a thought. I don't mind you interrupting. I don't mind you interjecting, so please do that. Everybody with me? Anybody want to interject right now just to show me they can?
Absolutely, Sean. Looking forward to this.
Thanks, Michelle. There's my partner of 4 years ago. I love it. So I feel like I'm partnered with you again here, Michelle. So thank you for jumping in. You got it. And then the third one, I believe everybody's here. You've made the commitment. You want to elevate your thinking, what you're doing, maybe come away with a new idea to make your own. And that's what I always say. Hey, steal anything I sing and just make it your own. Turn it into something that works for you and your organization or your role or your life right now. Make it some sort of tangible action you can do. At humanworks, we like to say, and Jeff just said it, that we like to help companies bring work to life by bringing life to work. And I'm lucky to be working with a fantastic team. And the team supporting me today, you'll all have a chance to meet in a little bit in the breakouts, is Sarah Marshall, Rebecca Swanson, and AJ Cruzy. So again, there's their faces. You may see them if you go up and down. They'll keep their cameras on. I'm seeing a wave from some people, but you'll get to meet them a little bit more in person once you go into the breakouts. So fantastic. Thanks, team. They'll also be in the chat, so they'll be helping me monitor chat. Just so if you see their names reaching out, they'll also be in the chat for me. So why are you here? That's where I'm going to get started. Let's get started with that question to all of you. What motivated you to make the commitment today to join this conversation? Either reach out by voice or put it in chat. I'd love to hear some. Why did you choose this Thursday to focus maybe on some new rules to think about well-being? Who has a thought? I'm seeing some typing. I don't see any brave voice, but maybe some typing going on there. Get that in the chat. Oh, you've gotten some good things out of Carrie. I love that. Some connections. That's great. Collective wisdom. How to improve programs. I'm seeing some good things coming through there. Fantastic. I see some fresh ideas. I love it. Well, I'm hoping today, as those ideas come through here, that there will be some fresh ideas. I sometimes think the way I think about well-being and wellness doesn't always align, and we'll talk about that a little bit, but I'm hoping we'll meet some of those expectations, and you've got to come away with at least one new thing. That's my promise. And if I don't meet that promise, then you reach out to me afterwards and we'll talk, and we'll find a new thing somewhere as far as that goes, but it's going to come out of today, I'm sure. At humanworks, we look at workplace culture through a lens of 8 different beliefs. And I believe that all 8 of these impact well-being of every individual in your organization. And if AJ would bring up that next slide, you'll see what those are. Everyone's unique, everyone believes, everyone connects, everyone contributes, everyone rises, everyone learns, everyone thrives, and everyone matters. Today, I want to walk through those 8, but really spend some time with a closer look on only 4 of them. So as you look at those 8, think about those. Everyone's unique, believes, connects, contributes, rises, learns, thrives, and matters. Think about these 3 questions. What could those 8 mean to you in your role? When you think about those, what do those 8 beliefs or thoughts mean to you in your role? Also then, how could those thoughts impact your culture of well-being? And then finally, how can you use those beliefs to influence your leadership team? Sometimes I think the biggest struggle when it comes to well-being planning and strategy is that I sometimes hear that strategists, practitioners feel kind of all alone. It's hard to get that group around. And we're going to talk about that today and share some ideas that I think can really work around that. So I really want you to think about how can you use what we talk about today to really change the color of your 2021 wellness planning? Is it okay to color outside the lines of what wellness strategy and planning typically focuses on? So what do you think? Is it okay to color outside the lines? Do any of you color outside the lines?
Absolutely.
Fantastic, Tina. I'm glad to hear that. I think you have to. And in this day and age, you know, let's funnel our energy to get there. But why is it sometimes difficult to color outside the lines? Why don't we do that more when it comes to strategy, planning, ideas? Why don't we color outside the lines so much? I'd love to hear some thoughts. Feels risky, Michelle. Yeah, there's some risk involved when you do that. That could be. Repercussions. Yep, I think, you know, that's true. Maybe failure. Meredith says she always does. She's never inside that box. So if she was drawing on that color, it would be, the box would be blank and there'd be colors all around it. I like that idea. That's a good way. Judging, not sure if it'll work. I love it. Yeah, sometimes I also think status quo kind of feels comfortable at times. And would you also say sometimes leadership teams want status quo? They're saying, come on, this is the way we've done it. Can't we just keep doing it that way? Sometimes I feel that even from the best leadership teams, because it's, you know, we're taught not to be messy. It's better to be neat. Well, I don't know about all of you, but think about 2020. What about last year? Wasn't it a little messy? Wasn't there some learnings from that sort of messiness? I believe it's changed us. And I think it will continue to make us look at people and well-being differently. Leadership wants stats. Thanks, Julie. And it's not all about stats. Yeah, I'm not going to talk very much about stats. If you know me, I usually keep my numbers in the background and talk about, okay, how do I just make one person get one new idea or influence them to do something around their well-being a little differently? Will that lead to a stat? Yeah, I think so. But that's not what we're going to focus on today. So I'm glad you, thanks, Julie. The love goes back out at you. I'm looking at chat that way. So here's what we're going to do. Let's go to that first sort of belief. Everyone's unique. One lesson each of us, I think, learned over the last 10 months is that each of us had a work life that we thought we knew pretty well. But how about the rest of us at home? I think we've learned more about one another as far as our needs, our wants, our fears, what each of us really needs now in this thing we call work-life balance. Don't you think that takes on a whole new meaning? I don't know. I don't even know what the new word is for it, but I'm not sure we can call it work-life balance. I think we just call it kind of life now. It's all kind of one. Haven't you learned more about individuals and what this really means to them than ever before? I think the pandemic did that. I think the social unrest did that. I think everything that happened over the last year forced all of us outside those lines to be more honest and forced us to sort of look at well-being that maybe we kept inside the box and we didn't share or talk about. We're kind of getting it out there. So I would love you to think about that belief as you view your wellness plan for 2021. How can you make it more personal, more individual, more applicable for everyone in your organization by remembering that first thought, everyone's unique? I said that each of you will be able to create your own adventure later this morning, and you will. But think about that idea for your wellness planning. How can each of you create your adventures for individuals at your organization based on their unique starting point? I think everybody comes into well-being in a different place. Can you look at every initiative, every event, every engagement, whatever you call it at your company, and see if you can find a way for people in the organization to make it their own, personalize it in a way that makes it have more impact for them? I think if you can open and take that idea, I think that's what's going to bring more people into your well-being initiatives. Let me give you a specific example with the second belief around everyone believes. This is the first rule. And if you've heard me speak before, no matter where I speak, what I talk about, I'm going to talk about values. I can't help it. It's going to come out of my mouth. So it is the first rule. Values are at the core. This is one new rule that really surfaced. It's always been foundational, but I think over the last year, people have been more focused on this than ever before. They're looking at their own values and they're looking at their organization's values, and they want to see a reflection of themselves in the organizations they work for. They want to stand up for and fight for what they believe to be a value in their lives and where they work. They want to live better lives based on their values. Has anybody experienced that? Have you experienced that? What do you think? Has anybody changed, sort of thought about their own values over the last 12 months a little differently? I'd love to hear. Yes? I'm seeing some nods. Jordan was nodding. I have. I think in jobs, at work, all over, people have just been, one thing that we've been doing is really focusing on this. I can tell you, working with companies right now, everybody's trying to elevate their values, put different words to them. The world has changed, or maybe the world's always been the same, but organizations are sort of saying now, oh my gosh, we didn't recognize that. We didn't sort of focus on that. How can you bring the core values of your company more alive through your wellness engagements? I think you can. I think you can make them more gutsy and aligned with your values, so that your employees and your people say, I want to work there. I want to get involved in that. I see myself that way. If you heard me talk in the Wellness Council of Wisconsin presentation, I've talked about 3 indispensables. I want to just briefly go over them here because some of you may not have heard those, but I think they're critical for you as wellness practitioners to take a deep look at your current company values and make sure they touch these. One is, does your organization have a value that celebrates the unique talents of individuals and the importance of those talents for the success of your business? I call that the life of your company. If that's not in your values, look at that. What needs to happen to put that in place? The second, do you have a value around wellness and well-being? That's the breath of your company. That's how you keep your company alive. If it's not there, that change needs to happen. That's the touch, I call it. Or the breath. The touch is, do you have that value around how you're reaching and trying to impact others, that relationships? Those are 3 ideas to take back and think about and share with your leadership team. Those are great talking points with your leadership team. But here's one more. When values are at your core, how do you personalize this new rule about bringing values to life in your organization by recognizing everyone has their own personal core values? Have you thought about that as a wellness initiative? Have you helped people ground themselves in their values and then show them how their values link to your organization? To me, that is a foundational piece of well-being and being centered. I've thought about this for myself over the last year, so I'm practicing what I'm preaching. I'm hoping it'll inspire you, because over the last year, I've actually put my values into words, and here they are. I'll give you a minute to look at those. Those are my personal core values. This is what grounds me. This is what I come back to and have been focused on. And it took this last year, they've been in my head, but it took this last year to really, I'm gonna put them into words. I'm gonna bring them to life just so I can really focus and live them better. And the picture, I don't know if anybody knows where that picture is. That's me celebrating after I made it to the top and back down at Angels Landing in Zion National Park. I don't know if you know anything about Angels Landing. I don't know if there's any other Angels Landing hikers in this group, but that experience changed me. I think it touched all my values in a way, just to survive and get through that. Personal core values. I can't say help your individuals find these, because I do think, oh, Julie, you said Zion is awesome. I totally agree. It's one of my favorite places. I just got so centered, and really it made my life just bloom going to Zion. I encourage it for everybody who's a hiker. Look at personal core values. I hope you can sort of see how they've energized me. I've never shown this slide before to anybody outside my team. You're the first person to see that, but it has really charged me. Also, I hope you can see, if you look at my personal core values in the picture, you look at my organization's core values below, I hope you can see some links. They're not the same, but I can find the links of what we do as an organization and how it links to my life. That's what you need to find out at values or at your core, that first rule. Some other examples, and some of these you may have seen. I'd love to show Penfield Children's Center. I think they have real gutsy, cool values that really speak to the world and to people. And another is BVK. The ad agency here, their new values are really, I think, really alive and can be lived really, really well. Use those for inspiration. Values are at your core. It's a rule as wellness professionals that you need to lean into. Every wellness initiative should be linked to one of your company's values or more. If you do this, it'll build confidence, it'll build trust, it'll build bonds in your organization. Values are who you are. That's my first rule. Thoughts or reactions to that first rule before we move on? Love to see anything that jumps out around the values rule. I don't hear any brave voices. Maybe something will come through in chat that way. Anything else around values? Do people tie them currently? When you do a wellness initiative, do you link them to your values? I'm not seeing nods or pictures or anything. I don't know. Do you link them? I think that's really an important thing. So think about that. Let's go next. My next is everyone connects. And the new rule there is all around gratitude. I think connection has changed over the last 12 months, both in how we do it and the challenge of it in sort of this new world and bringing people together and building strong teams and relationships. For well-being, I think this new rule is simple and straightforward. Strong relationships live in gratitude. If you haven't, now is the time to build gratitude into your wellness planning and practices. One thing to think about that, take the lead here as wellness leaders. Go big. And what that means is find ways to begin in gratitude, find ways to respond in gratitude, find ways to finish in gratitude. How can you incorporate gratitude thinking in basic elements of your organization and your business? I want to share three, what I think are easy changes that can really make some lasting impressions around strengthening this connection. For one, can you use gratitude on day one for a new employee coming into your organization? If you're not using gratitude on day one, sharing that in orientation, sharing that by their new leader, maybe having the whole team really express their gratitude, saying, we're grateful to have your talents joining us. We're grateful for your background. We're all excited about bringing, that is really going to set the stage for that new employee as far as how you look at them and really give them a good center coming in the organization. Gratitude from day one. The second is, I don't know, but in our world, the way I live, I don't start a meeting without focusing and kicking it off with gratitude, a gratitude focus, some sort of sharing of gratitude. I think, Stephanie, I'm glad you think that's good stuff. Good. I don't think, if you're not currently doing that, you're missing out. Gratitude to start every business meeting brings a positive energy, then can set off to solve problems, to look at issues. But starting with a foundation of gratitude, if you lead on that, that can really help a business. That's bottom line business success. And finally, my third idea around gratitude is in recognition. Incorporate into any recognition activities you currently do a gratitude component. Call people out specifically and heartfelt as far as why you're recognizing them. What did they do? So much more powerful than a thank you. I think once you start thinking about those opportunities, you'll see that gratitude and that practice can touch so many parts of business. I don't know if you know this, but if you look at the next slide, does anybody know what 86,400 seconds means? Anybody know what that number means? I'm seeing some no's in chat. Anyone want to be brave, take a guess? What does that mean? I'm looking to sort of see some brave eyes over here on the right. If I look to the right or left, I'm trying to look at faces here, so I'm seeing y'all.
I think Julie's got it, Sean.
Julie?
In the chat, it says 1 day.
You got it, Julie. It is 1 day. 86,400 seconds in a day. I bring that up around gratitude because that's how much time you have for gratitude each day. How much do you use of that time in your daily life to focus on gratitude? I think there's always room for improvement. Don't forget that new rule. Strong relationships live in gratitude. I believe it's your role to lead that change, lead that charge around gratitude. I also believe if you do that, you'll discover that everyone will want to contribute. Everyone will want to be a part of that practice. It will build naturally if you started as a wellness leader. One organization we recently worked with last year, they built gratitude into their weekly Friday huddle, where leaders would call out and share gratitude about specific individuals. Guess what? That was great, but that's not even what the best part of it was. Soon enough, team members were asking, can I share gratitude? I want to share gratitude. That snowball kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger until we had enough gratitude in that organization to go out 3 huddles ahead. 3 huddles ahead. We could have spent a whole huddle just sharing gratitude. So we had to find ways for individuals to do that on their own, to really reach out on their own to do it, because we couldn't even do all the gratitude in one meeting. So again, we've seen more than ever, everyone wants to have a voice. Everyone wants it to be heard. Everybody wants to share and contribute. Start it with gratitude. Give them opportunities to channel it and support them. You can do it around values and you can do it around gratitude. We're halfway through the 8, everybody. How's everybody doing? We're halfway through. Everybody with me? Let me hear some nods, some hands. Hopefully in a new idea or two, I'm getting some. I'm seeing you all. Now, those of you that have turned me off, I'm hoping, this is not a nap time. I'm hoping you're still with me, all right, as far as that goes. But I'm with you. I'm going to keep going. So stay with me as we go through here, because I want to go to another new rule. And really what it is leadership must step up. And I bet if there was any new rule in this leadership one might be one that's always sometimes the most challenging. You may have certain leaders that are right behind you that you feel lift you up, but I bet there are other leaders in your organization that you feel like, gosh, you're doing a lot of pushing, you're doing a lot of prodding that way. So my question is, what does it mean to be a leader in your organization as it relates to well-being? Do you have specific expectations of leaders' role and their effort to role model around your well-being efforts? What do you have right now? Does anybody have expectations of their leaders in their organization around well-being and the efforts that you do? I would love to hear some. What are some expectations that maybe others can steal and add into what they're doing? Either chat them or say them out loud, bright and clear. Any expectations? I'm not seeing anybody come through chat. Maybe you don't have expectations of leaders. Is that a new thought? Because I think you should. Aaron said support engagement, demonstrate well-being, and make it a priority. Be a role model. I got it. I think those are all really good things, really good things. Here's what I would say to those though. I don't think they're actually specific enough. If you tell somebody, be a role model for well-being, demonstrate it, and lead on it, make it a priority, participate, walk the walk. Yeah, now we're getting a little more specific. But here's what I would say. Think about this. What's the most important thing or support you need from leadership as you move into 2021? Where do you need them to elevate their effort? And here's the big question. How can you delegate well-being responsibilities to each of them to support what you're trying to accomplish? Think about that. Can you delegate responsibilities to your leadership team to support what you're trying to accomplish? I'm seeing some nods. People said, well, maybe I can. I want to give you one powerful way that we've done that in an organization that I am hoping you can steal and make your own, because this idea is around leadership must be stepping up. And one way to do it is, what are your leaders' well-being passions and values that you can leverage them as teachers and inspirers? In our post-pandemic world, I believe it's okay for you to ask your leadership team to rise up, put extra energy, effort, and attention into well-being. People need it. What ways can you hold them accountable to it? Here's what I think. Start with them as teachers. With one organization we worked with for many years, I once had to have a heart-to-heart with the entire leadership team. Has anybody done that? Where you've had to sit down your leadership team and sort of say, wait a minute, this isn't working. You're not focused on well-being. I had to do that. It was one of the toughest conversations I ever had, 50 plus leaders in a room, but I was honest with them and I said they weren't cutting it. It's got to stop. They weren't supporting, they weren't role modeling. Yes, they could talk about it. Yes, they could probably sell it, but they weren't actively living it. So what did I ask them to do, everybody? I said for the next year, I didn't own it. HR didn't own it. The wellness team didn't own it. They owned it. How about that? If not in 2021, think about that for 2022. They owned it. And let me tell you, they rose to the occasion. It changed the company's sense of what wellness and well-being truly was. How did they own it? We asked each of those 52 leaders to take 1 week in the next year and pick a well-being topic that meant the most to them, that helped them achieve their own personal sense of well-being. Look at this thing. We had leaders teaching on scrapbooking, golf, photography, healthy recipes, game playing, family game playing. It brought wellness and well-being alive in the organization because they were sharing their passion and they were really just talking about it as if it was the biggest thing in their life. And people flocked. We never had so many people wanting to go to a well-being, I'm putting quotes, or a wellness session. Talk about thinking and coloring outside the lines. It changed what well-being and wellness can mean. And I can tell you, leaders, after living through that, at first they thought, oh my gosh, how can I do that? I don't teach on well-being, but can I talk about scrapbooking? Because that helps me just balance and breathe. Yes, I can. We focused on purpose, balance, nutrition, and movement, just 4 things. We had every leader tie them back to those 4 things. On their passion, which one did it link to? I give you this idea, leadership must rise up. This is one strong idea. How can you involve your leadership team? If 52 is too much, Start with 4 this year, quarterly. Find your way. Extend it. Think of extending your wellness team. Leaders, I believe in any successful well-being initiatives, leadership has to be a part of it. You can't own it all. You can drive it. You can creatively think about it. You can strategize around it. I don't believe you have to own it all. What do you think about that idea? Getting leaderships involved in that way. Has anybody done that in certain ways? Could you do it more? What do you think? Meredith, you need that. Yeah. Look at it, everybody. I can tell you, if you do it, I'm glad I'm seeing a lot of loving that idea. I can tell you it's gonna explode. What we did the next year, everybody, guess what happened? All the teams saw their leaders doing it. What did they say? Next year, I want to do it. Can I leave a well-being initiative around this? I love this. This helps me. Do you see how that builds? And you build an environment, you create a culture of well-being where it just happens naturally because people are thinking about it in really strong ways. Aaron, you said it relieves the pressure. Yeah, think about that. This rule is really important, everybody. How can you get your leadership team to step up? How can you guide them? But they need to really take the responsibility, and it needs to be specific. I don't think role modeling is enough because I don't know what that really means. Role model what? But if I have to share my passion and well-being, something that helps me personally, that is specific. That's going to have energy. Any other thoughts on 52? Sharing that idea. Fantastic. I'm seeing some nods. I'm glad some people love that. So there's one last rule as part to end this conversation. I want to talk with everybody. And it's really part of this ongoing conversation. And that is, do you know where everyone is after 2020? As a wellness leader, as a wellness strategist practitioner, leading well-being, do you know what they're thinking and feeling right now? What do you need to do to build and adapt your wellness planning based on where they are? If there was ever a time to kick off a year with focus groups, small discussion groups, surveys, whatever your mode of feedback is, turn it up a notch. Listen, learn. That has to happen now. That's what really matters. I hear storytelling. Do that. Have an initiative just around story. Tell their, something they lived through from a personal thing. I love that. Mental health survey on Monday, Aaron. I think that's so important. If you're not doing something to get that conversation going, you're going to be out there sort of just shooting arrows off all over. Listen and learn. That is something I'm applying in a lot of different ways. You, as leaders in this area, have to do that. And I don't think this year can start off without this last belief that's up there around everyone matters. I think the best time, if you're not already looking at diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging conversations, stories, now is the time. I want to share just one of mine that I found helpful in ways to get into these conversations, because I think sometimes, I don't know if anybody out there as a wellness practitioner is saying, Sean, that's another team. DEI, I don't want to even get there. That sort of scares me as far as that goes. But I think we all own it, everybody, and it's part of our well-being. And I'm so glad that it's just been brought up to the top so we can talk about it and address it. I want to share this one way. And the one way that I have found that's over the last 12 months with individuals, with organizations, with teams, is this whole image of a jar. I don't know if anybody's seen this image or heard about this image. But for me, any conversation I go into around this topic is that I have one goal. I'm trying to create a culture, a team, a family, an environment, a place where people are celebrated for their unique differences, where everyone is equal and can belong, and everyone matters. And they should be able to bring all of themselves to work and to life. So this image around the jar, here's the quote. Everybody listen to this. It's hard to read the label when you are inside the jar. I'll say that one more time. It's hard to read the label when you are inside the jar. Think about that. Pretty powerful. I wanted you all to think about, what jars are you in? How about we all start off with that list of jars we're all in? I'll lead us, okay? I'm in some jars, everybody. Here are some of my jars. I want you to chat your jars into the chat. I'm in a mail jar, everybody. Okay, I'm in that mail jar. I'm in that white jar. I am in this LGBTQ plus jar, everybody. I'm in a married jar. I'm in a baby boomer jar. You see my jar list? Oh my gosh, how that colors my world. You get the idea. My jar list is long. What are some of yours? And do you see how that impacts your world and how you view it? Do you see how talking about that and getting that out there is the only way to see inside the jar is to get out of it? I love that image because I think it frees people to just be honestly say, somebody said, I'm in a step parent jar. Yeah, that's okay. That's good to say. Mental health jar, you get it. Do you sort of see how that gets people to open up in a safe way to sort of say, here's all the ways I'm in my jar. Let's talk about, what does that mean? How do I get out of it? How do I view the world because of that jar? Here's the 3 ways out, everybody. Here are 3 things that I think are ways to get out of the jar. First, I'm trying to do this more and more. Lead with my mistakes, then move to how I overcame them. If you're not doing that in this whole belonging conversation, that's a good place to start. Second, I share what I don't know versus what I do know. That's sometimes hard. As human beings, we always want to share what we do know. That feels sort of powerful and gives us knowledge and expertise. But share what you don't know. Try that element. That opens up that conversation. And then finally, I've said it before, you'll hear me say it again, listen and learn. I always say, you will see it when you believe it. Think about that one. You will see it when you believe it. I just hope that image of that jar can get you thinking about ways into these conversations, because I do believe that whole belonging is a big part of people's well-being. You have to open up and say that if you're not connected to your DEI initiatives as well-being practitioners, they have to be linked. It's all one. It's all that cultural foundation that gives somebody their best self. We've looked at 8 beliefs, 4 rules within those beliefs that I hope impact you. I hope you're already tackling these in some way, but maybe I gave you 1 idea or 2 that came to you. But maybe you looked at today and said, oh my God, Sean, you took me outside the lines. Okay, I hadn't thought about that. Okay, I've got a color over here. I need to bring my leadership in. I need to think about belonging. I'm hoping I took you there. That's what I'm trying to do myself. And I'm hoping when we get into these breakouts, you'll take me there in my breakout, or take any of us there when you share some of your ideas that we can then turn into best practices and share across. So let's go to some next steps, everybody. Here we go. Are we ready for breakouts? Before I go to breakouts, any questions or thoughts about anything I said overall before we get into some specific breakouts? I'd love to hear. You can speak out loud. I'm ready for you, or you can put them in the chat, everybody.